Hey guys, it's Alyssa Marie, your intuitive reader. Today I am going to be addressing some of the questions that you guys have asked about a week ago on one of my community posts. And basically on that post, I did talk about how I had been feeling quite disconnected from my spirituality, and I really wanted to tune in with my guides and ask certain questions for myself, but also for you guys. I have to say I am doing a lot better this week. I am feeling so much more connected than I have in a while, just from doing that and from doing some other things. You know, I did post about a channeling I had about hybrid children, and I had a lot of light codes going in, intense night, that other night, but I wanted to come here today to talk about those particular questions. So I do have two pieces of paper here. One piece of paper has your questions, and the other piece of paper has the answers to those questions in a very kind of, you know, chicken scratch type way. So hopefully I can decipher it. But I definitely had, you know, a clear view. And as I was answering, I would just write down, as I was getting the answers, I would just write them down, but not in their full form. So hopefully we have an okay time reading the paper. So here we go. So I am going to kind of go in order of what I have them written down here. We're going to start with Raina Avery. And thank you again for everyone who did post a question. I believe I got to all of them, but thank you again. And thank you, Raina, for your question. So Raina's question, I am probably going to paraphrase it a little bit, but she asked, I'm a starseed and I know my path in this life is to inspire and uplift others, which is beautiful. How do I do that with all of this negativity surrounding me? It's hard to find motivation and remain positive with all the violence and the chaos going on. Mel seconded that. She said she also feels the same way. So I did really try to focus on that with my guides. And what I came up, this is mainly, I will say, this is just from the Arcturians. A lot of my guides are Arcturian. This is mainly from, I would say, Radha and Rosa, who is my new guide. She's not my new guide, but somebody that gave me their name, I should say. I probably have a lot more guides that, you know, I don't necessarily know the name of, but Radha and Rosa, who are Arcturian beings. So first of all, they said to understand that the negativity and the darkness of planet Earth will always be present to a certain degree. They showed me that each and every single dimension, up until about, I want to say, the 8th or 9th dimension, because the Arcturians themselves, they still have some physicality to them. Up until those higher dimensions, to me, the 12th dimension is cosmic creation, right? That's the highest dimension that I've been shown. Up until, I want to say, 9th dimension, maybe 10th dimension, there is polarity. There is darkness and there is light. Now, there's meant to be a balance of darkness and light in every single dimension. There is not. There is not a balance on planet Earth for sure. There is most likely not a balance in a lot of the other dimensions as well, because they showed me that in our multiverse, what we're going through is on a universal level. It's actually not just Earth that is really changing. Okay? But either way, they want you to know that. They also want you to know, Raina and everybody else, that the darkness now is more than the light. And they did say that, and this might sound a little negative, but it's what I've channeled from them and from other guides as well. Things are going to get worse before they get better in the sense of darkness. But hold on, there's a reason for that, okay? They told me that everything is not what it seems. There is a lot going on behind the scenes. In particular, there is a lot of mass purging. And again, I will talk about what purging is. Purging is an energetic thing that can be confusing for people, where we have lower vibrational and lower dimensional energies present on planet Earth, such as hate, fear, violence, you know, all of those lower dimensional vibrational energies are present. And in order to purge them, they have to be in a way lifted up and come out. And that happens on an individual level and on a collective level, I've been told. So a lot of times, in a way, we have to feel the darkness. We have to live the darkness. We have to understand the darkness in order to get the darkness back in balance. But the darkness will always be there. Now, the reason the darkness is not in balance, I do want to say the Arcturians did say that the humans did have a play in this. They did play a role. It's not like everything was natural. Certain things were natural, were just a natural progression, but a lot of things were not natural. A lot of violence that happened did have to do with certain humans doing certain acts, okay, over the period of history. In particular, there are many in charge in our world that have secret agendas that we do not know about, that the Arcturians know about, but may not know the details of, and other beings might not know the details of. In particular, I have been shown that a lot of leaders do have, like I did talk about in the other video, we all really, I should say almost all, probably all, have reptilian DNA within us, and you can watch more about that video in the Hybrid Children. I talk about that video. But there are certain beings that have a lot more of that DNA already laden within them. And there are certain beings that are probably reptilian shapeshifters as well, I've been told, that are just completely not human, that are in positions of power on planet Earth all over the world. And that has caused darkness to be greater than light. So, in a way, everything does happen for a reason. But I wrote down here, okay, reptilian DNA, yes, causing this element, yes, of control. That's what I wanted to say. They did talk about that. So you'll see a lot of control elements in our society, like, you know, with Russia, and I should say Putin. He wants to control. We want everybody, a lot of people want to control. We want to control people. The media wants to control, the government wants to control, science wants to control, religion wants to control. All of those are devices of control in a way. And they don't always have to be negative, but if put into the wrong hands, they can be, correct? So in a way, we have to accept the darkness and the sadness. We don't have to agree with it, and we don't have to feel like we can't be pissed off about it. Because I'm pissed off that there's kids dying around the world. I'm pissed off that there's people getting raped. I'm pissed off that good people are dying, bad people are not, you know, however you want to say that. But if we don't accept the darkness and accept the purging that is happening, we can't live through it. We have to accept it. I know it's kind of hard to understand, but it's something that sorry, I have dry lips. Chapped lips. But that is something that they really wanted to discuss. And I know that's kind of an interesting answer, but also understand that this is from a higher dimensional perspective, these answers, but they did show me, you know, the Arcturians, they don't know everything, right? They don't, because they are still beings as well. So now we're going to go on to Mel's question. Mel, thank you. Number 2 here. It says, what do humans need to hear? What do they need to know now? And what can humans do collectively to create a more pleasant world? Or is this how it's meant to be, type of thing? First of all, in a way, yes, it is how it's meant to be. There are parts of it that are not what it's meant to be, but yet it still is meant to be, which is crazy and confusing, but they told me that. They also want everybody to think of something like, this is going to sound disgusting, but think of it like a pimple, a zit. Things are coming to a head. That's the way I like to think of purging. That's what they showed me. So like you have a pimple. I know you're not supposed to pop pimples. You probably have popped a pimple. Maybe you still do pop your pimples sometimes. You have a pimple, okay? And there's pus in it. It sounds nasty. But it comes to a head, and at some point, it's going to need to probably come out. It's going to need to somehow burst, or it's going to need to release in order for it to go away. And the way that that happens, you know, is different, you know, depending on what you do to the pimple. But that's how they showed me what's happening to our earth right now. As in, there's a lot that's building up and that has been building up, and everything's coming to a head right now. And that's why things are crazy as F. Things are crazy. And that has to do with all of that coming to a head. And they said it's not to a head yet. It will continue to go to a head. And it's going to, you think, oh God, could it get any worse? And it does. That's what they're showing me. It does. But it's doing that. The world, the universe, the multiverse is doing that for a reason, because it's choosing to do that so that we can catapult ourselves and our planet into a higher dimensional way of being. Now, we'll go more into that in a second because I have a lot of notes here. So in a way, oh yes, you also asked, is Earth really a school? You can't necessarily see that we're getting it. You said first year and year 4. Okay, well, first of all, they said Earth is an experience. They didn't necessarily like to use the word school. They said experience. Earth is an experience. But so is the Pleiadian experience. So is the Arcturian experience. So is every planet that you've ever been on. And so is every lifetime that you have lived. Whether that be as a human, whether that be as an extraterrestrial being, whether that be as a dog, a cat, a snail, you know, a crystal maybe, a plant. Whatever that is, it's an experience. And even the traumatic experiences that we do have, they are still experiences. But I'm going to go deeper into that one second. So, one thing in the spiritual community that I do tend to not agree with, and it is something that I actually used to talk about and probably preach about at one point, but I don't feel that way anymore, is that everything is a lesson. In a way, that's correct, but in a way, it's not what it seems. So for example, sometimes, like let's say you're in a relationship with somebody, and let's just say it's not working out anymore. Like, you know, maybe you used to be in love, you're not in love anymore, but you continue to be in the relationship. And you think to yourself, well, maybe this is just a test. Like maybe what I'm dealing with right now, with feeling the spark gone away, feeling disconnected from my partner, maybe that has to do with learning a lesson, which I think is wrong. In reality, if you want to go, go. If you feel the need to go, go. If you feel the need to quit, quit. Because a lot of it is there always a lesson in the way we want it to be? Instead, maybe the lesson is to leave. Does that make sense? Maybe the lesson is to leave, as in maybe things will get harder and harder with your partner so that you wake up to the idea of leaving, and that's the lesson. Because in specific, Source, God, the universe, multiverse, they said, Source pulls things out from beneath us like a rug. Why? Because a lot of times we just don't get it. A lot of times we go to work and we're like, you know what? I freaking hate my job, but, you know, it pays the bills. Freaking hate my job, but, you know, I went to school for it, but I freaking hate my job. Driving to work, freaking hate my job. And then the job gets worse. And then you maybe even get fired from the job, get terminated from the job. And you're like, what did I do? I was trying so hard. That's Source, God, your guides, your higher self, ripping it out from your reality because you weren't letting it go. And that does happen. And so in a way, it's a gift. In a way, a lot of things are a gift. Somebody walks out of your life, you think, oh God, I would do anything to have them back. But maybe it was a gift. Maybe they walked out of your life because that was the only way Source could get your attention. Okay? So that's something to think about. Now, where was I? Yes. So a lot of this is teaching us and causing us to transcend. Remember that it's not necessarily the trauma that makes you stronger, but it is how you dealt with the trauma, how you dealt with the happiness, with any emotion that makes you who you are today. Okay. So now, thank you for that. We're going to talk about Laura's question, what can light workers do? In reality, what everyone can do is to live your truth. They showed me this, to live your truth, to love your truth, to promote love and light in everything that you do. Love the good guy, but love the bad guy too. And that's something I never understood, but I'm starting to understand it. Love the good guy, but love the bad guy too. Even if the bad guy doesn't want your love him anyway. Send the love and light. Because they don't like that, okay? The bad guys, they don't like that love. As a light worker, they don't like that love. They're like, no, but you have that power. Just bam, 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 send that light. Even if it's just, that when I'm talking about send that light, that's doing it in an energetic way. You can actually visualize sending light to people and love, but also living your truth and doing what makes you happy. Like I said, quitting the job, going back to school, leaving the boyfriend, getting a new boyfriend, being single, having a kid, not having a kid, whatever it is that makes you happy at that moment in time. If you are doing that, you are emanating light. And light is freaking contagious. Happiness is contagious. It just rubs off on people whether they like it or not, okay? So that's what they showed me. Sally. Now, Sally asked a very deep question, and that's okay. I definitely will answer it. She says, why do we live? And what makes the hard stuff worth living through, okay? And here's what they showed me about that, okay? They said that, they can't necessarily answer why we live. They said that that's something out of the realm of their knowledge, because the only one who really knows why we live exists in the 12th dimension, or is the 12th dimension of cosmic creation, cosmic consciousness, that they can only, catch glimpses of. We can catch glimpses of, but we can't know. So they can't really answer that question, why do we live? Okay, I will say that. However, what makes the hard stuff worth living through? The good stuff. And I know that sounds so like, Alyssa, but that's what they said. And they told me to say, it's eating a freshly baked chocolate chip cookie. It's hearing a baby laugh. It's stretching when you get up in the morning. It's hugging, your partner. It's looking into, your child's eyes and seeing you within them. It's dancing in the rain. It's feeling the sun on your face. It's smelling fresh cut grass. It's having an ice cream cone. It's the little things. That's what they told me. What makes your experience beautiful and makes it worth living through is the little, beautiful, happy things that exist. And it is the love that is present. And it makes me kind of emotional because, for a long time, I always did ponder too, and I still do, like, why do I exist? Why do I live? Why do I go through this? Why do I go through that? When sometimes you just have to relax and say to yourself, just to live it, just to experience it. And to know that just living through certain things and experiencing certain things is the beauty of life, even if they're small. Because I promise you, even if you are going through a shitty time, and I've been through shitty times, you've been through shitty times, there is always beauty in every single every single time somewhere. And so, like I said, even if it's, you know, being cold in the winter and getting into the hot bathtub, even if it's having a food when you're really hungry, drinking some beautiful water when you're really thirsty, even if it's something so small, if you focus on those small things, together you'll realize that they're not so small anymore. In fact, together, collectively, they're really strong and really powerful. And that even though we see all this hate and negativity in the world, there is still love and positivity. We just think that there isn't. And the reason we think that there isn't is because sometimes we do get very stuck in our third dimensional way of thinking, which is okay. Can you hardly blame us? We are humans, we are third dimensional. We are multidimensional beings, but we're incarnating a third dimensional body in a third dimensional planet. And so it's hard not to look at things from a higher perspective. And it's easy to see negativity, rage, chaos, fear, control, see it. It's important to see it. It's important to recognize it. But it's also important not to necessarily focus on it. And to understand that for every negative thing, there's a good thing as well. Now, I did talk about how I do think there is more darkness on our planet right now. Don't worry. Like I said, it might still be coming to a head. It might get worse before it gets better. But they said it's going to burst. And when it bursts and when it breaks, we are in for a very new reality. The earth as we know it is really going to change, maybe even end. They did tell me that, in the sense that everything that we know might be different in a few years. Okay, so just remember that. Thank you, Sally, and everyone. So next we have Kevin's question. Kevin asked what frequency or dimension we're in. Okay, so in my perspective and their perspective, you know, we are in the third dimension, but we are trying to transition to the fifth dimension. Now, I don't think physically our bodies will transcend into the fifth dimension, probably, but our mental body will, and we are able to. And so we're trying to get Earth into that fifth dimensional way of being, the new Earth. Also, what frequency? So this is interesting. The natural frequency, Schumann's resonance of planet Earth, is 7.83 hertz. They said we are trying to get it to 7.87 hertz. They didn't say why exactly, or you know why that's the number, but they said 7.87. We are at 7.83. Karina is next. How to forgive when lived lifetimes of trauma. How do you process that? Okay, so that's something that I have probably talked about in other videos, so I won't talk about it too much. But basically, how do you forgive? You accept. How do you forgive? You let go of hate. Because when you harbor hate, when you harbor any type of resentment, you're not letting go and you're not accepting. You're not forgiving. And so the way to forgive is literally to accept. Again, that's, I accept so and such broke my heart. I accept so and such left me. I accept so and such abused me. And remember, accepting does not mean, they said, does not mean you think it's right. It just means you're choosing to let it go and to acknowledge that it happened. Because a lot of times we try to not think about it. We try to push it off. So like, for example, a lot of times you'll feel bad and you're like, well, you know what? Like, I freaking hate so and such for doing that. Like, I hate them. A lot of times spiritual teachers will be like, let's don't focus on it. No, you're supposed, feel the hate. You're living the third dimensional reality. Feel the hate, but then let go and accept the hate. Accept that you feel hate. I feel hate. Feel it, and then let it go. And do that every single day until you don't feel the need to feel it anymore. And that will happen. It might take days, it might take weeks, it might take months, it might take years. But as long as you feel it, you accept it, you will move through it and you will transcend. Okay? That's what they told me. And Vicky, you talked about being stuck. Oh, and also I wanted to say, Karina, I do have a great river meditation that I recommend you check out on my channel. It's just a short guided meditation that can help with the healing, okay? And then Vicky, you're stuck, ease pain of the world. Vicky, I would say we really did talk about a lot of that already, but just in general, again, you're probably feeling stuck because you are stuck, right? I have felt stuck many times, and we have to accept, oh, hey, I'm stuck. And you say, hey, I'm stuck. What do I do about it, right? Because if we say, I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling stuck, I'm feeling stuck, we have to say, why do I feel stuck? First, though, we have to say, I'm feeling stuck. But then why do I feel stuck? And usually what you think of right away is the reason. Is it your relationship? Is it your job? Is it your spiritual beliefs changing? Is it your passions changing? Is it your goals changing? Could be one of those things, could be many of those things. But then accepting that, and notice that you might also feel in a stuck energy because, again, source, God, universe, multiverse is making that so. They're kind of in a way that higher realm of being is making you feel stuck for a reason. And understanding that and changing that will eliminate the stuck feeling, okay? The pain of the world will still be present, but we can ease the pain of the world by promoting light, love, accepting the pain of the world, and choosing to see that it is not all pain and suffering. We can recognize it's there, but focusing on what is beautiful and happy while also still, accepting that it's not all that, seeing both sides, but promoting love, light, and our truth, they said, is the way to ease the pain of our world. And know that it might get worse before it gets better, but we are coming to a head again, guys, and there's going to be something big happening. And I can share with that in a different video, but I've been told there's going to be a big event per se. Yes. So I hope you enjoyed this, guys. I know it's kind of long, but I just wanted to talk about those questions that you asked, and I hope that this did provide some help. Bye-bye.